Welcome back to What If Civilization Restarted. If you forgot, in the last episode, we introduced Cursia, Azuria, Jandor, Tandor, and Audenburg. Cymboria, Braza, and Lueki are also on the brink of war, and many countries have begun to explore Europe. Let's get started. Braza, hoping to move their chess pieces in preparation for a Cymborian invasion, sends diplomats to Cursia, which is still the leading nation in trade, demanding them to stop exporting goods to Cymboria. Brazan diplomats also pushed that Cursia and other northern countries sign an alliance with them to fight the Cymborians. However, they all ask to stay neutral. Lueki supports Braza in preparation for a Cymborian invasion and sends their troops to Cymboria's eastern border. After Lueki creates a large blockade on the eastern border, more Cymborians flee to northern countries such as Audenburg or Azuria. Braza helps Lueki create a blockade and sends their massive fleet to surround the Cymborian coastline, stopping thousands of refugees from fleeing by sea. Cymboria uses this to their advantage to create anti-Brazan propaganda and justify more than doubling its army size to the largest in the world. They send an ultimatum to Braza and Lueki, demanding them to remove their blockades within the next 5 days. After 5 days, Cymboria, not wanting to go to war again, delays the deadline to the end of the month. However, the blockade only grows, and Cymboria declares war on Braza and their allies. In the east, the king of Xanador is overthrown by Cymborian sympathizers, who decide to declare war on Lueki with the goal of taking back their colonies. Malawia and Eurus, hoping to prevent war from reaching the east, send assassins to remove the new king. The replacement calls off the war, but Xandoran troops, most of whom are Cymborian sympathizers, refuse to turn back. Lueki drops out of the main invasion and begins focusing all of their power on protecting their own land. Braza, now alone in the invasion, begins pushing harder and harder in hopes of ending the war early. After months of brutal fighting, with neither side being able to make much progress, the Cymborians begin to lose hope and morale as their military force deplenishes. Cymborians hear of their demise on the horizon and start looking for places to flee. A day later, they hear that Xandorian troops have secured a portion of Lueki. Since the blockade had finally fallen, thousands upon thousands of Cymborians were able to escape through the east. After many days, the refugees reached the new country of North Xanador, formed by the Cymborian sympathizers. However, North Xanador was being invaded by normal Xanador, Malawia, and Eurus, and was expected to collapse within a matter of weeks. The Cymborians proposed that they flee to Africa's southwestern coast and attempt to cross the Atlantic Ocean, seeing where it takes them. The North Xandorians, their forces exhausted, agreed, knowing there was nowhere else that would ever be safe. Back in Cymboria, their army finally fell, and Braza annexed most of their territory. A few months later, after months of trekking through Africa, the group reaches the African coast. Back in Europe, the North Peace Conference is held in Krothenburg, the capital of the Audenburg. Azuria, Cursia, and Norlandia all attend. The conference is held to prevent territorial disputes between the countries. Audenburg starts by requesting land connecting them to the Mediterranean to enhance their trading. Azuria denies this, seeing it as blocking any possibility of them expanding north. Norlandia then comes up with a compromise. Audenburg gets land connecting them to the Mediterranean, but in return, Azuria gets a colony below the Alps. They all agree on the compromise, and then Norlandia requests all of the land above them. This is quickly declined by all the other nations. However, Norlandia agrees to split the land with another nation, which the other members do agree to, leading them to create the vassal of Ruthemia, although Norlandia did keep some of the White Sea territory. Cursia requested the entire North African coast, Sicily, and the Peloponnesian Peninsula. The members of the NPC agree, but only because Cursia has no army, and thus possesses no threat to the region. The Audenburg king declares the conference a success, but not before having all the nations sign a defense treaty, forming the North Peace Council. A week after the conference, the Audenburg king dies from a horrible heart attack. His 2 twin sons begin fighting for the throne. The population became divided by the kings. The civil war is won under Crothan II, and after this, the Rothics leave Audenburg with Crozan's brother, Rothic, and they go found a new nation. the Rothiks journey for a long time, eventually settling around the Dnipro. They found the new nation of Krosnia under the rule of King Rothik I. Along the trip, over half of his followers settled down, creating the 6 Rothik nations of Saksik, Orskik, Oksik, Matoksik, Lyopoksik, and Ravikoya. Back in Ottenburg, a large minority of the Harutian religion asked for a nation, which is somewhat achieved. They're given 50 large boats by the Auden government and sail away, eventually landing in the Indian subcontinent. Krosnia applies to join the MPC, but Ottenburg swiftly vetoes this request, claiming that Krosnia is not a real nation. All of the other nations of the MPC agreed, other than Ruthamia, as they felt the Krosnian people deserved the right to independence. Ruthamia sends a diplomat to Krosnia, and they form a separate alliance called the Red Alliance. After this, Norlandia tells their vassal of Ruthamia to break off the alliance with Krosnia, but Ruthamia refuses. Norlandia, upset at their vassal's disobedience, declares war on Ruthamia. At first, Norlandia does very well, even taking Ruthamia's capital of Northtown on the Ruthamian Peninsula. But Ruthamia goes into a state of guerrilla warfare in the city and nearby regions, vastly depleting Norlandians' resources and ability to fight. After many months of this guerrilla warfare, Ruthamia launches a full-scale attack on Norlandian-occupied Northtown under General Eindaki. The attack was incredibly successful, taking back the entire peninsula and pushing into northern Norlandian territory. Ruthamia takes the entire territory, and Norlandia sues for peace. In the conference, Ruthamia gains full independence and annexes the Norlandian Northern Territory. Ruthamia is also kicked out of the MPC fully, and Norlandia leaves the alliance, claiming that the little support from them during the war proves the weakness of their alliance. Ruthamia celebrates its independence, crowning General Eindaki as King Eindaki I, and renaming the north town to Eindaki City. The North Sandorians and Semborian refugees finally reach South America and decide to settle on the coast. They name their new nation Semdoria, with a D, representing their North Sandorian allies. They attempt to rapidly expand, but face some pushback from their small population. On the west coast of the Arabian Peninsula, Sejud is set up as a trading nation, and they also expand to the edge of the Mediterranean. They use this to their advantage to move goods from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean, calling this special route the Sejud Trail, significantly speeding up times for the nations on Africa's east coast. The state of Nilaria is set up right next to them along the Nile Delta, attempting to outtrade that of Quercia. Finally, on the Sinai, the free land of Sianu, a puppet of Jandor, is formed by Jandorian settlers. The nations of Jandor, Nilaria, Sejud, and Sianu form the Eastern Trade Company as a rival to the MPC. This creates tensions between the two alliances. That's all for this episode. If you enjoyed, subscribe for episode 4, where we will see a war of magnitude never seen before in this series. Also, please subscribe, because according to YouTube, only 1.3 of you are subscribed. See you next time. Bye.